God, what happened?
Morty, I don't know what happened, Morty.
Michael, wake up.
What?
Michael.
Oh my goodness. What's going on? Wait a minute.
Michael, I think we fell asleep.
Wait, are we still recording? Oh my goodness, I think we're still recording. What's going on? How long have we been gone?
I don't know. Wait, let me check the calendar. 2 months.
Well, that's it. We lost all our viewers. You know how you know how the internet works. That's it. We lost everybody. We're done. We're done. We're no longer a podcast. We're over.
No, Michael, calm down.
I'm walking away. I'm getting up and I'm walking away right now. It's over. There's no point of what's going on. It's all over.
Michael, calm down. There may be some hope. Maybe if we latch on to more recent developments that have happened in the months we've had past, maybe we can get some topicality votes back again. We may be able to salvage this just yet. Okay, quick. Pull up your browser. Pull up your smartphone. We got to find something.
I guess I'll check Twitter.
Oh, dear God. The Deadly Premonition guy is making an RPG about people who turn into cats?
Well, that sounds interesting. Oh, here we go. Oh, my goodness.
What?
Microsoft, yet again, messed up on the Xbox One with the X and their announcements and no games. And now DC is screwing up with their timeline by making a Batman movie that's not part of the DCEU and a Joker movie and a Harley Quinn and Joker movie. What?
What?
So much has happened.
I don't understand. Okay. Maybe we find something else. We gotta find something positive. Maybe something a bit more. Splatoon 2 came out and its community is full of pro furries?
Oh, no, they're talking about Knack 2? What? Who asked for this? What is going on with this community?
What exactly happened? How can things have gone so weird in 2 months?
No, wait. What the heck is a Ready Player? Oh, Steven Spielberg is making a fanboy movie.
What?
Right after BFG. Now he's doing Ready Player 1.
Listen to me right now. Put your Fox hoodie back on.
I say we walk away. Let's just walk away from it all.
No, look at me. Put your Fox hoodie on. I'm going to whip ourselves up some hangover cures. We're going to get in the recording booth and we're going to bring this back. We're going to bring it back. The internet needs us. That Random Podcast Show, Season 3, baby. Come on, my co-host.
All right, fine. Let's do this.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to That Random Podcast Show, Season 3 premiere! We are back! And on Anchor and Google Play. Yes, it's almost like we're an actual podcast show again. As always, and forevermore, I am your host, Tyler Chancey, the Digital Desperado, and with me as always is Zafmod, Michael Mosley.
Hello, people. 2 months of us pretending to take a break. I don't know. We actually got busy with other stuff.
We did get pretty busy.
Yeah. We finally found a new host. We've been trying since season 2 to find a good podcast host. We found one in Anchor, which means we're now on Google Play. We're now online with the website. And we are also on Apple Podcasts. So you can subscribe there. You can subscribe on Google Play. Download it on your phone and take us on the go so it can annoy you on the bus instead of just your home.
With our weird, rambling, stream of consciousness commentary about nerd culture. Of course. It's good to be back. It's good to do this again. So,
with the new rules, actually. Now, we're no longer going to be like a 2-hour podcast. We're now going to be a little more focused and trim it down a bit.
Quite professional, yes.
Season 3 is the big one. Usually shows fall off in Season 3. We're actually building up at Season 3, so, rough first season, decent second season. Now our third season is probably going to be our best.
It's congratulations. We have proved we are not heroes. Now let's see if we can, be something equivalent to, ER, General Hospital. Any one of those shows that just keeps going and you just kind of keep in the background. I have very low standards for the show is what I'm trying to say.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being background noise. Some of my favorite podcasts I use for background noise.
of course. But a bit of a thing that has been going on with us, aside from that not at all cynically made opening to make you guys feel like you really, truly missed us. I've been very busy with my role as the reviews editor at thegamefanatics.com, and as such, I have been taking care of a lot of reviews and getting a lot of stuff recently. A few publishers have been very nice to me. I've actually been cranking out reviews of Agents of Mayhem, which I have played quite a bit of. I'm starting to do preview streams now on my Twitch channel, which you can follow at DigiDesperado26, in between all my other stuff. And I have also very recently finally had my review of Yakuza Kiwami published on the GameFanX.com, which is basically Sega's attempt to, Sega's successful attempt to remake the first installment of the Yakuza series, and basically remake it for PlayStation 4, because the series has been going on for like 10 years, and it's got like 7 or 8 games, including a prequel and a zombie spinoff. And honestly, it's gotten to the point where it's kind of like the Final Fantasy series for some people. Like, where the hell do you start? Here. We'll help you out there. Any thoughts on that, man? Or are you just going to stand there and take it all in?
I told you, man, this is all you. My real exposure was like Yakuza 0. So mine is going to be different from yours. Because I've never experienced the Yakuza games. Mostly because there's more of them in Japan. There is America. Because it's one of those things where the publisher didn't feel that it would translate well.
It would have a good Western audience, yeah.
Yeah. So, but all that's changed, especially since now that everybody's importing games, and now you can buy Japanese games on your American or European consoles. And I guess more developers like Sega sees that people are willing to buy these things, so let's take. We don't even have to translate everything into English, voice acting and all that. All we have to do is put in subtitles.
And make sure that translation is solid. But it's funny because I have very little experience with Yakuza as well. Like, I played a little bit of the PS2 original, but I remember maybe getting through the first, 45 minutes. Like, I remember briefly the opening bit where you're fighting a guy, then you're in prison, and you fight a bunch of people in a prison. Then I just wandered around the district and did nothing. And I remember being like, eh. But then again, I was, 16 at the time, and I was hopped up on testosterone and bad decisions. So, what the hell did I know about taste? So, coming back to Yakuza Kiwami, I will say I did appreciate that they basically built it from the ground up. Like, they clearly used the same engine they used for Yakuza 0, and they added some extra cutscenes. Like, they added a bunch of stuff to make it feel like a more modern game. So the combat's much fresher. The everything in engine looks fantastic. Because the Yakuza games are very cutscene heavy, and they do a lot of stuff in the cutscenes to forward the plot, and it's kind of hard to take a story seriously if they look, kind of blocky or whatever, because the cat performances aren't there. But the mocap performances are fantastic, and I started grooving on how odd it is as a series, because it's very narrative focused, it's very story cutscene focused, and then when you're allowed to play, it suddenly it feels like it goes from like a crime drama to like The Raid, or like a high-octane kung fu movie where you're just beating the crap out of people, because the combat in it is brutal as hell. You feel the weight of the punches, especially when it comes to the finisher moves, and they're just nasty. And
the combat has always been, I wouldn't say the strongest point in the game. The strongest point has of course always been the characters and the story. But the combat for me has always been serviceable. Well, like I said, I started with 0. It's been serviceable. Like, it's easy to get used to. It's not one of those easy to get used to, hard to master kind of thing. It's just something that the game
gets
throws
the job
in there.
done.
Yeah, like it's something that the game throws in there to break up the cutscenes, because my goodness, the Yakuza series cutscene heavy. But
that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's how it chooses to present itself, and it does cutscene discipline really well. So I'm not up in arms about it.
Yeah, my thing is just like is the way they transit. It's like, okay, well, you're running. Okay, you hit this corner that we told you to go to 30 seconds ago. Cutscene. All right, cool. Voice acting cutscene. I can deal with that. After that cutscene, we're gonna do an in-game silent cutscene where you have to read, and then go to another cutscene where there's talking, and then maybe let you play for a few seconds. That's the thing that always bothered me with the Yakuza games. It's just the way they chop up, the way they tell the story.
I get a feeling. I get a feeling it's probably due to multiple programming issues for transitionary purposes. But even then, it's still very transparent, and the player can kind of catch on to that. So that is a problem.
Well, the
But
thing is,
like,
a lot of like, some of the Japanese games I play, a lot of them do that. Like if they
yeah,
have
they
voice
do.
acting in it, and I know it's because of budget reasons. Like Japan, whether it's the movie industry or the gaming industry, when it comes down to budget, it's always much lower than it is in Europe and the U.S. So they try to fix it the way they can. It's like we really do want to do cutscenes like voice acting and animation, but sometimes you gotta cut your losses and you
And
can't finish this cutscene, so just do it in game.
I do notice though, whenever they do the text box thing, it's usually like in the overworld or in like a side mission. It's almost never in during the main story missions because if it's the main story mission, it's fully animated, motion capture, full height quality, character model cutscene, the facial animations, everything, and that's just a good show of resources. But that's me getting technical. The thing I will say, Yakuza Kiwami, my review once again, you can read it at GameFanatics.com. I actually did enjoy it, and it actually got me into the series. How odd it is because like I said, it goes back and forth between being a crime thriller, and then it goes to being a bone crunching brawler, and then also there's a bunch of weird mini games you can play, like the crane game, or you can sing karaoke, or you can talk to a hostess and get her to like you, even though she's clearly milking you for all the money you're worth. But
And
you
you know
feel good.
the things that I always thought about when I did that was like Shimnu was how I really love Shimnu.
Shenmue,
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, Shimnu.
Shenmue, yeah,
Yeah,
Shenmue,
I
yeah.
call it Shimnu. I'm pretty sure Shimnu. But
Yeah, Shenmue. But go on.
yeah, yeah. Well, like when I played Shimnu 2, I've always loved the point that even though it's cutscene heavy, and oh my goodness, it's cutscene heavy.
Mhm.
I always enjoy that you can just have this pseudo closed-in open world where you can just go around, do random jobs, and drive the crane, or play a game or two, or help a kid, or an old lady with just random junk, and then get back to, oh yeah, I have to avenge my father. Let me break this guy's bones. I always found that endearing. So like, I guess that's why it clicked so well with me, Yakuza, and I forgave the way they transit with their story.
It does so much well that you're willing to forgive that, and it really is a testament to how games do that, because not everything can be perfect all the time. You usually have to make some level of concession, but I do also appreciate that Sega made sure that the game was priced properly, because it's basically a touch up, a director's cut of a 10-year-old game, and they also really didn't change too much about the levels or the boss fights, so a lot of that age does show. So they're selling it at $30, which I think is actually pretty fair and a solid investment if you're curious at all about the Yakuza series. It's a good entry point. My only problem is they didn't also release Yakuza 2 to Yakuza 2 Kiwami. Terrible
I
joke.
think, well, the thing is now they got that oh man, it was Song of Life coming out. There's
Oh
another
yeah, good point.
Yeah, there's another Yakuza game coming out. So they're really trying to like have the American audience catch up. No, not American, Western audience
The
catch up
Western
with
audience.
catch up with Yakuza. And yeah, I think that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
Especially since they're putting actual effort into it. So I'm actually okay with it. Like the $30. Yeah, that's actually a fair price. And
The only real issue I kind of have with it, I mean, there's a few level design nitpicks, but the thing is, it feels like the series, the game particularly, has a little too much investment in people being aware of and liking a certain character, Goro Majima. Like apparently he's like this really popular character now because he's an eye patch wearing psycho freak that's giddy and kind of crazy. Because from what I've heard, the original game, he's in the original game's plot for maybe like one or two cutscenes and like one level. But in this remake, there's an entire side quest dedicated to him, randomly popping up in the overworld and challenging you to a fight and finding weird reasons to fight you. And you have to fight him multiple times because he's trying to help you regain what you lost. Because they bring back the multiple fighting styles from Yakuza 0, but they bring in a fourth style called the Dragon style, which you can only get more stuff for if you find and defeat Majima. And it's a very powerful fighting style, but the problem is you have to deal with Majima doing stupid stuff like hiding in a giant trash can and popping out of it like he's freaking Dio Brando, or disguising himself as a police officer and saying hold up, and then you find out it's Majima. Like, gosh darn it. Or every now and then you keep trying to find a place to eat food and so you stay alive, and he's around the corner. He's like, "Hi, how you doing? Let's fight." Come on.
Actually, sounds like a pretty cool side. That sounds like a better side quest than most games actually do. They put some humor and effort into that one.
It got to the point where I got into a bar and I just wanted to play darts. Majima was there, and he was like, "Hello, please not now. Let's play darts together." Okay.
See, GTA 4, that's how you do it. Not just have somebody randomly call me up like, "Hey, cousin, let's go bowling." It's like, I don't want to. Get away from me. Let's fight instead.
Well, the thing is, Majima is just kind of deranged. Like, he keeps referring to the character as Kiryu-chan, like he's a schoolboy, and it's very unnerving. And I can see why he became a popular character, because apparently I did a bit of research, and apparently he's kind of the quote unquote the Deadpool of the series. He's the charming madman you just want to see do crazy stuff. So I can see the appeal, but for somebody who doesn't have that cash with him, he just comes off as a nut, and I'm like, okay. And then you have a canon boss fight with him where it's like, okay, now I'm gonna try to kill you, and I got a baseball bat, and I'm gonna be a bullcrap boss fight. It's like, oh, come on.
So did you enjoy? What didn't you enjoy about your first go with Yakuza?
I think the problem was level design and pacing. Like, it expected me to keep doing random stuff in the overworld. Like, it expected me to grind the side missions and the activities, because when I went to the next chapter, every single chapter I kept going to, the difficulty would ramp up. Like, they would throw more enemies at me, or throw enemies at me with throwing knives or firearms, and there would be boss fights where they're bullet sponges. They're basically health sponges. And it's a grind just to get their health bars down. And they also include this new mechanic called Kiwami attacks, extreme attacks. And they have it be that after you beat down the boss a certain way, they get stunned. And if your heat gauge is at a certain level, and you're in the right style, you can basically do this very powerful super attack that takes a huge chunk of health off their health bar, which you think would help. Except if you're getting beaten down by these bosses, there's a big chance where you won't have your heat bar ready for that super attack. And while they're in that stunned state, if you don't do the attack fast enough, they regenerate health.
Sounds like padding.
Yeah, it feels very much like padding. Like fighting a bunch of mooks is a lot of fun. Beating down on them. Picking up a signpost and beating the crap out of them. That's fine. Picking up a bottle, beat their ass. That's fine. Then you have like a boss fight where it's like it gets one of the major story enemies. And suddenly it turns into dodge their attack, do a couple of jabs, backstep, rinse, repeat until I can do a Kiwami attack. And it just slows the pacing down. Like, if it was like, once again, that's probably the most obvious spot where the age shows, where it's very clearly this was designed that would have been passable in 2006, but not in 2017.
All right. Well, it sounds like you actually had a pretty good time with your first go with Yakuza. I actually enjoyed Zero.
I was actually surprised.
I'm sorry.
I was surprised. I was surprised how much I liked Yakuza. So I may have to invest in where the series goes from here.
Well, yeah. I actually. Oh man, I think the next Yakuza, Song
Yakuza
of
6.
Life, is that the one?
Yakuza 6 is coming out next March.
Okay, then that might be the one I was thinking of. Is the end of one character's story. I forget which character it is, because Yakuza has some pretty cool some pretty cool characters in there, and I'd actually like to see a collection of Yakuza games that would take you 6 years to finish.
I would totally pick up a Yakuza collection. Like I like the characters. I like Date. I like Nishiki. I like Kazuma. I like these leads. I like these characters. I want to see what happens to them, or see how their actions affect people down the line, because apparently this is a series with really strong continuity.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they're just now finishing up one of the character stories with the next Yakuza installment. So, like, they keep them all tightly connected. And in fact, I think even one of the prequels might have answered a question that leads up to this final story.
Well, how about that? Well, unfortunately, nostalgia can only go so far with a series and or a creative, because we do actually also talk about a certain bit of contentious news that came up recently, which you brought up, Michael, is of course the incident involving beloved geek director Joss Whedon and a certain flare up that has happened with his wife, and, well, a reevaluation of him as a creative after a leaked script for what he proposed the Wonder Woman movie should have been. Which, by the way, after we shook ourselves awake after the bender of whatever the hell a Arcturian freeze pop is. Don't know what that is. It's probably something with high alcohol content. Because apparently, once again, Wonder Woman, 800 million box office, one of the most well-received superhero films of all time. Gal Gadot, Patty Jenkins, congratulations, both of you deserve it. Great movie. And Joss Whedon wanted to do that movie with a particular screenplay that I believe you looked at, Michael, and I am almost afraid to ask, but care to give us some cringy or horrendous excerpts or examples?
Okay, well, for those who haven't seen the Wonder Woman movie, we'll let you know. Well, look in the description, unless you're on Anchor, you can. There's going to be a slight spoiler from the actual Wonder Woman movie and to the Joss Whedon, apparent Joss Whedon script.
Yeah, so yeah, if you don't want to get spoiled on the Wonder Woman movie, if you haven't seen it yet, skip to what? Crud. We're still recording while this is happening.
Yeah.
Try to try to eyeball it, but or at the very least, put your you put your fingers in your ears or take the earbuds out. I don't know. Just we'll find a way to bring you back.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. But yes, if you haven't seen Wonder Woman, I would say skip to the 30 mark. And if
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, because not only are we talking about the Wonder Woman movie itself, but also Joss Whedon and his apparent script. Because Joss Whedon hasn't actually talked about this script, so it's still more of someone that got their hands on a script, released it to the public. But he hasn't. But he also hasn't denied that the script exists, because everybody knew that he was working on it. So from what we can tell, it's pretty legit.
Having said that, though, grain of salt might not have been, whatever.
Yeah. Because these directors, they're quick to actually be like, yeah, that's not my work. But Joss Whedon apparently hasn't said anything about it. Mm-hmm. But it has the classic Joss Whedon styles. It has the descriptive female lead, and unlike in the Wonder Woman that we got in this movie, in Joss Whedon's script, what was his name? Steve
Trevor.
Yeah, Steve Trevor. He actually had a bigger part in the Joss Whedon script than he did in the Wonder Woman movie.
In the movie we got with Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot.
Yeah. So whatever rewrite that that the team did, they had like 3 writers on the movie we actually got, which helped out a lot compared to the one person Joss Whedon show. But the description alone for Wonder Woman's mother was, for her age, she looked like she looked like someone who's in her prime. It's like, what exactly does that mean? It's like, who was he planning on? Because I'm pretty sure he's also going to direct the movie. Well, who is he planning on having in this movie? Like, we don't know. So his script has some weird descriptions for some of the characters. Trevor himself had a much bigger role, where it's pretty much he was the hero and he was leading Diane throughout the film, which we kind of got with the Patty Jenkins film, but it was because it was fish out of water story.
It was fish out of water, and she was observing and watching, and then began to act after learning. I mean, she wasn't completely passive and supportive in the movie we got. In this, it feels like Steve was like, "I'm the man, I take charge."
Yeah, but it was a little more so than that. But yeah, it was like, it focused. I think it had more backstory for Trevor than the one we got with the Wonder Woman that we actually saw. So so I think the more of the padding went towards Steve Trevor and trying to bring out Wonder Woman into into modern times compared to what they were doing with World War One. Now, mind you, I did not finish the script. I've read parts.
From what I've heard, it's quite a slog.
Honestly, if you were never a Josh Whedon fan, you would use this against fanboys because a lot of people like you, like when we were talking before the show, you think of Josh Whedon, you think Avengers, you think Firefly, you think Buffy
the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, and you think those are great shows, but then you remember, well, Josh Whedon, he helped create those shows, but he didn't write every episodes and all the episodes. And when you read this script, you're like, wow, I see now why people think Josh Whedon isn't a very strong writer. He's a good director.
He's a good director and good at character work, but he needs an editor when it comes to stuff he writes.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, like, he gets away with it because fanboys really love the stuff that he creates, because he creates great stuff. He has some great ideas. It's just apparently his writing isn't very good, because the parts that I read, it honestly felt like it was a punch to the face, not even a slap, but a punch to the face to a Wonder Woman fan. And I was taken aback by it, and I was like, wow, this is Joss Whedon. And compared to what we actually got, I'm glad WB and DC did not go with this script.
Yeah. It's especially weird because if I do recall, the DC, this is also kind of tying in something else that's been going down recently. By the way, if for some reason you're still listening, even though spoilers have been brought up, feel free to put the earbuds back in. Hey, spoilers are over. I hope that works. But it kind of transitions into something else we're talking about, because on the topic of Joss Whedon writing about DC characters, it also doesn't say a whole lot of confidence about the change that's been happening to the DC Extended Universe because of the change of the brain trust. Because Zack Snyder has stepped down from directing Justice League because of the tragedy that happened to his family. With the death of a family member, he and producers, his wife Deborah stepped down, saying, we can't do this. And Joss Whedon came in to direct like the last 5 or 6% of the Justice League movie, but apparently also Zack Snyder has basically been taken offhand as the creative overlord of the DC Extended Universe, and the brain trust that they've put in is now made up of Jeff Johns, one of the heads of DC Entertainment, that very well known for some of the best stories of DC Comics, Patty Jenkins, the director that made the one fantastic, truly unequivocally fantastic movie the DCU EU so far, and Joss Whedon.
Don't forget David Ayer. He got a chance with Suicide. He wrote and directed that movie. And
I believe he opted out.
Well, I think he's still doing the Gotham Sirens movie.
Allegedly, but Chance Dart's going to die. But that's something else that's kind of happening recently. Apparently, Warner Brothers has made several major announcements now from the DCEU brand now, and apparently
before we get to that, we're going to wrap up this Joss Whedon thing, because you were a fan of Joss Whedon, and we were talking about it. And the whole thing with his ex-wife coming out, and that's what sparked this whole conversation, or this part of the conversation. So how do you actually feel about this whole thing that's going against Josh?
It's a major problem. I do know a couple fanboys will obviously be very defensive and say whatever to try to protect their nerd god, so to speak, but it is entirely possible to like the creative work of a creative while also understanding that they are human and make mistakes, and even sometimes don't even follow what they preach themselves. Like Orson Scott, I always bring up this example with Orson Scott Card. He's a good writer. He wrote Ender's Game. Wrote a bunch of very fantastic sci-fi stuff. But if you actually look at him as a person, he's a very militant homophobe. Like some of the stuff he goes on about is very incendiary, and it could turn a whole lot of people off. You can still read his stuff. You can still enjoy what he's created and still not like him as a person. That's perfectly valid. Same thing I think also applies to Joss Whedon. He did make big strides in his time, but I get the feeling as if he may be hitting, I guess, the Kevin Smith issue, where he hasn't evolved his craft and is instead billing his work on his own personal brand more so than the inherent quality, and that's a danger I'm worried about. Like, I'm not going to get into details about the alleged charges that brought regarding his marriage and the alleged abuse that has happened. Although, if they do turn out to actually hold up in a court of law and actually have been found out to be true, all Godspeed to the soon-to-be ex Mrs. Whedon, and I hope everything else works out for them. But it is entirely possible. I still love Firefly. I still love the Avengers. I'll still enjoy the good stuff that Joss Whedon put out, even while I am just looking at him with a side glance, saying, "Dude, what the hell happened?" And move on with my life. And I think that's a problem that certain people have trouble with. Decoupling that. Because some people usually equate a creator too much to their creative art, and that can lead to a certain level of demand or even expectation that is either untenable or doesn't equate.
I agree with you on most parts. The fans are definitely going to try and protect him and his work.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my biggest issue with Josh Whedon at the moment was he really hammered down and hammed up how much he was a feminist with his shows and his
Yep.
characters. And then you get something like this and it reminds you that, yeah, even though people say these things, it doesn't hold up true in life. Because for years I've known nerds who complain, their biggest complaint about Josh Whedon was his writing and how he wrote female characters in general. And looking at this, it kind of makes sense where they're coming from. It's painfully obvious that Josh Whedon was on the feminist train for so many years without actually practicing it and without actually knowing what it is. And he was just using it as a way to build himself up and to probably pass off subpar characters.
Like, oh, you hate me? Oh, that means you're not a feminist. That defensive argument. Equating yourself to a certain identity or brand and using that as a cudgel to smack down what should usually be respectively mutual discourse. And that is never a good look for any creative or anybody. I don't care what you think. You start beating people down with that sort of stuff, and you don't have a consistent and well-founded research and go to them amiably, none of this shout-out culture that I've been seeing out recently, it doesn't look good for anybody involved, and it damages you in my eyes.
Yeah, and this is definitely something WB doesn't need with everybody knowing that Josh Whedon has a hand. And
In the DCEU going forward.
yeah. It's going to be real hard for Josh himself because recovering from this is not going to be easy because now whenever he has a new project, this is going to come up on him. And if it has anything to do with a female lead or even a female character,
he's no longer the golden boy, so to speak.
yeah, like he was the director. A lot of fans were like, "Yeah, you can do a female character. You can put them in important roles without them being over sexualized," which Josh Whedon did a cool job on. But unfortunately, with this going on, yeah, well, and knowing that behind the scenes, he was actually doing unethical things with females he was working with.
Allegedly,
Yes, allegedly. We don't know the true story. We don't know the full story. We don't know what's going on just yet. But with all the things that's been allegedly going on, this is going to haunt his career going forward.
Absolutely.
Especially if everybody wants a new Firefly. If that ever got off the ground, people are going to question about Josh Whedon being part of that show ever again.
It's some sour grapes to swallow, obviously, but I think that's basically all we really can contribute when it comes to Joss Whedon. But speaking of the DCEU, oh god, I can't even finish that sentence. Michael, take it over. I'm going to try not to dry heave into the mic.
Okay, so a lot of stuff has been happening with the DC universe. They finally got off to a good run with Wonder Woman. Apparently they didn't have Patty Jenkins already set for the sequel. So they had to go back in, talk to Patty, and work out a brand new deal with her. And that's only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the DCU. And then all these weird announcement comes out: the Joker origin movie, the Harley.
keep this in mind, people. Imagine this happening basically back to back to back to back. Okay.
Yeah, we're talking like since what Comic-Con when some of the rumors started happening and they started teasing stuff, all the way to now. There's talk of a Joker's origin movie.
With Martin Scorsese as the producer.
Yeah, that's really really weird. And they're not using Jared Leto. They're going to use a young Joker, obviously, hopefully.
Because Jared Leto is box office poison and a terrible actor. Let's face it.
I mean, apparently he's still going to be the Joker in the DCEU because...
Gosh dang it!
Yeah, because not only that, but there's a Joker Harley Quinn movie apparently in development. Now, remind you, in development can be much like there's no script, there's no budget, we're just talking about it. We're planning ahead. That's what in development means. Now, when it goes into production, that's when
you start worrying.
Yeah, that's when it's a real thing. They got a budget. They're getting a team. They got a team, and they're getting ready to shoot. So just everybody know the difference between in production and in development. All this stuff we're talking about is in development. Let's see, the Joker origin movie, the Harley Quinn and Joker movie, the Harley Quinn solo movie. There's also another one that Harley Quinn was in where she has a team up with other villains, Sirens. Gotham
City Sirens.
Yeah, Gotham City Sirens is apparently something that they want to make. And for TV, now they have a Teen Titans TV show coming out, which
live action one.
Yes, a live action one, which they recently announced their first character, Starfire. They got a character for her. They got an actress for her now, and
I was about to say, man, you got a character for Starfire. Yeah, it's called Starfire.
Yeah,
use your words.
How dare you not use words? But yeah, and it's already a bit of a cluster because of who they chose. They chose a black female for Starfire. And yeah, of course, everybody's going to be a little iffy about it. Before we started recording, I was a little confused by it because be it white to black or black to white character, I hate it when comic books do it, when movies do it, and when TV shows do it. I don't care if the character is white in a comic, black in a comic. Just get somebody who closely resembles that character. And of course, having a black character for Starfire, I was iffy about it. But then, of course, you brought up that depending on which version they use, there are versions of her where she has more of an orangish tan with her look. So
yeah, exactly, because she's supposed to be alien, and depending on how alien they make her, they could easily do some stuff for like makeup effects. So the skin tone shouldn't be a problem as long as I actually always bring up this argument. As long as the actress is good, as long as the actor is good, as long as the material is good, and as long as they don't linger on it, I am more accepting of it. I mean, it's the same reason why I was actually open to the Ghostbusters reboot movie until I thought about more.
Yeah, they clustered it all up. But yeah, and I was gonna say Starfire's sister. If they go into her backstory with her sister, I don't know how they can handle that. But I was going to say, I remember when...
Oh my god, I didn't actually think about that. It's my sister, Blackfire. Oh my god. Oh dear. Can of worms opened. The worms are everywhere.
Yeah.
They're eating my flash. Why did we open this can? Oh god.
Yeah,
I regret this.
The internet and social media is going to have a field day with that one.
Oh god.
They're probably going to try to negate that by having a white actress be Blackfire. And then it's going to be even more weird. It's like, so like they just put themselves in a weird spot. And the only way they can solve that is like not going into too deep with her story and having Blackfire involved. But Gamora, they did the same thing with Gamora. Like I was when they first did Guardians of the Galaxy, I was kind of weirded out that they got Zoe Saldana.
But then I remembered. Oh yeah, isn't Gamora like a green-skinned super warrior in the comics? Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and then live action, it worked out great, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's worked for me. So when you reminded me that, yeah, depending how they go with her character, I was like, okay, you know what, you're absolutely right. I can see that now because I was just so confused because I'm used to the modern adult version that they have of her. And she looks more Caucasianist in it, but Thinking
and
back,
and hypersexualized to the point where they very
oh my
clearly are
goodness,
just marketing it to men and not children that may have grown up on the very successful and amazing Teen Titans cartoon show. Why? Why
yeah,
did you do this? Sorry.
yeah. So when you brought that up, I thought back at some of the designs that they did with Starfire in the past, and I was like, okay, you know what? She does have a slightly different look, and somebody even showed one character of Starfire who had kind of like an African American Naomi Campbell face or something like that. I forgot who it was, but she was designed after a black actress or a model, and I was like, okay, you know what? This works out. This could work.
Yeah, at that point, it just depends on how good production goes and how good the makeup artists pull that off. Also in terms of characters, I'm also reminded of the design they had for when they released her as DLC in Injustice 2, and I'm like, okay, they're kind of going for like a healthy mix of the two now, because I'm noticing there's now sort of a merger now that's been happening between the much more, for me, the much more iconic and much more simplified, Teen Titans TV show Starfire, and the more skimpy sexual version of the comics. It's like they're trying to mesh them together. Like, darn it, they're popular, but let's actually make the dress more conservative, but still make her a cool looking warrior, and hopefully they keep that going forward.
Yeah, you only hope, but that show is actually in production.
Yeah,
So
that's a
that's
full on production. So
yeah, that was actually in production. So and going back, Batman may not be part of the DCEU, and the
yes,
Joker origin movie might not be part of the DCEU. They might actually be
yes,
separate, and this is a big problem because everybody has been waiting for Ben Affleck to say anything about this
about the
new
Batman
Batman.
movie.
Yeah, which I think the working title is The Batman, and I think they might
Yeah.
actually stick with that. But now we don't know any. So now we know even less somehow about all this.
Somehow about this.
Yeah,
It's especially, it definitely doesn't show anything healthy when you bill yourself as the rival to the Marvel superhero cinematic universe, and now you're having movies that are basically they're basically trying to build these movies as being a new production line of basically being movie versions of Elseworlds, which are basically alternative what if storylines that the DC comics like to do, and I usually enjoy them. Those are the fun ones, like Red Sun, where what if Superman didn't land in front of the Kents and instead landed in Soviet Russia and became a hero for communism, and it brought in a horrible, dystopian future. Or Gotham by Gaslight. What if Batman was around during the 1800s and fought crime in London and tried to track down, I don't know, Jack the Ripper? Or what if the Joker became a superhero? Stuff like that.
yeah.
The thing
Personally,
is,
my favorite was what if Kent? I'm not Kent, but what if Batman's father didn't die and he ended up losing his family, and he ends up becoming like some kind of drunken, crazy version of his son. I've always enjoyed that for some reason, but yeah,
I think
but
I like those, but the thing is in a comics universe, that is after like 5 or 6 decades
yeah,
of established characters, established stories, established timelines, established dynamics, established personalities, and then you're allowed to go crazy with these, what if blank, what if X, what if Y, what if Z. You don't do that when you have 4 movies under your belt, and only one of them is a critical and commercial success.
well, technically, all the movies have been commercial
I am
successes.
not arguing. I am not arguing.
No, no, no.
with Batman.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that, but like, I don't want anybody to be like, oh, well, what about you guys are biased? Like, no, we understand that. Yes, they have been
breaking even and recouping your budget. In my mind, is not successful.
it turned a profit. I think, except for Man of Steel. I think that might have been no, that might not have been the lowest. Oh well, inflation, all that crap. We can do something about that. It's a different time.
Suicide Squad. I think Suicide Squad was the one that didn't fully make a profit.
Okay. But this goes to show that we've always made fun of DC for rushing this and not having a plan. And it was like 3 years ago they had to mix up their staff, their executives because of what was going on. And the Batman script has been in development hell forever, to the point where even Ben Affleck, who was at one moment going to be a director but then stepped down, or was never going to be a director, but there was just rumors. And now we find out that...
And allegedly he didn't want to even be Batman anymore, but now he's back. But now, yeah. It's like,
and
what?
the whole... they were working on a script. They were finding new writers. There was a rewrite. And now it might be part of the DCEU, which goes to show that maybe whatever they're planning is like, wow, somebody looked at it and was like, yeah, this isn't going to work with what we have. It doesn't fit our timeline. It's not budget-wise. There's no point in trying.
Doesn't fit our production style. It doesn't fit our production style. It doesn't fit our schedule. It doesn't fit our vision.
Yeah. And I think that happens when they decide to take Zack Snyder. Well, Zack Snyder's still a part. He's still a huge part of the DCEU. But now he's
just taking a much needed break to deal with what's happened with him, and once again, God bless him. But
with this, now you have the new exec team looking at everything, looking at a timeline, and saying this isn't working. This isn't working. We need to change this, change that. Bring back Gal Gadot. Bring back Patty Jenkins. Find a new writer for this. David Ayer may or may not be doing Gotham City Sirens. There's so much nonsense that WB is throwing out there because Marvel's been doing it. Marvel, they throw out a 5-year plan in front of you. And it's like, yeah, these are our next like 5 to 10 movies. And the only
real major change has just been rescheduling stuff for the Inhumans. That's about it.
Yeah, and I think and one time they had to push back Miss Marvel and Black Panther so they could fit in the Spider-Man movie, and I think the Ant-Man and Wasp.
But that's about it.
Yeah, and that and moving that schedule back just made way for Black Panther to be in Civil War even more.
They rolled with the punches. That they were able to handle. They got more material and more stuff, and they were able to integrate it so well. DC, once again, 4 movies in, and they're scrambling to figure out, oh crap, we can't do this sequel, we can't do this thing, we can't do that. They had a plan, but the plan was on such a shaky foundation. They're trying to salvage it. And it feels like the best thing they're trying to do is basically just make superhero movies because, the characters are still such a big draw. So let's just, make a good standalone stuff and just try to not do the shared universe thing. Which, on the one hand...
Yeah, especially... I'm sorry, what?
Which, on the one hand, I'm not mad at that. In concept, I should not be mad at that. The problem is, this is the new paradigm that Marvel has been set. Like, every movie now is trying to do a shared universe. Universal tried doing it with The Mummy. It sucked. The guys that made Kong Skull Island, that's actually kind of working out, doing the big kaiju movie thing. And, it's, and in this new kind of era of social media and, data and media diet, it's much more tenable and much more financially, profitable. And Warner Brothers is just not adapting as fast, and it's showing.
Well, I think it's this way because they see that their animated studios, their movies, have been doing fantastic.
I love their animated stuff. I love the Flashpoint. I loved Gods and Monsters. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there.
Which, by the way, DC has pretty much already hinted at their reboot for their DCEU. Because they did hint at the Flash movie is going to be Flashpoint.
Which was basically a comic event where they basically rebooted their entire universe. By the way, if you want a primer for that, the animated Flashpoint movie is fantastic. But yeah, they're already getting ready to just wipe the slate clean and just start new. Like, jeez.
Yeah, and I think the new execs looking at the plans and like, wow, whoever was doing this before, it wasn't how do we connect this universe. It was how do we get to Justice League. And Zack Snyder, he already knew what he was going to do. He was going to do Superman, he was going to do Batman, Superman, and Justice League. That was his plan. I was like, okay, well, we got to fit in Wonder Woman, we got to fit in Batman, for the Justice League. Got to
do all this different stuff.
Yeah, for the Justice League, who are we putting in there? All right, we got Flash. But we're not going to use the TV version Flash that everybody already knows. We're going to use Cyborg. We're going to use Wonder Woman, Batman, and maybe Superman. And so it was really weird, and they needed that, spoiler alert, they needed that Superman death so they can do the Justice League movie, which, by the way, they didn't need to do.
You did not need to do that.
So that's my thought. So
It's
DC,
it's a giant freaking mess, and a lot of the proceedings is just not boding well. And once again, it just shows just how unhealthy they have made the foundation for this whole shared universe. And it's also just kind of weird because the only legitimately fantastic movie that came out of it was Wonder Woman, a movie they barely marketed,
well, they marketed
blew
it.
up like
They did it at the end.
kinda, but only after a while. But it's just bizarre that that's like the gold nugget in the crap pile that we have gotten so far, and maybe a bronze turd in there somewhere for Man of Steel. I don't know, but
I like Man of Steel. I thought it was pretty good.
I I know you do, and this is really saddening to me because personally, I'm hitting Marvel burnout. Honestly, like I like the Marvel movies, I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I like the Marvel characters. I'm actually getting kind of tired of the Disney formula
To
of
be
how they
honest,
handle this.
I thought I was going to be as well, especially after Iron Man 3, because Iron Man 3 is probably my least favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And then they switched things up with James Gunn and his.
Ex- ex- Except even then, I'm looking back at the more recent movies, and I'm like, I only maybe really really like anything by James Gunn. I'm usually fine with. Like a lot of it's becoming just sort of popcorn to me. It's becoming flavorless. It's like I've gotten too used to the taste and gotten too used to the texture that I want something else at the cinematic confection stand, so to
Yeah,
speak.
and I think that's Marvel's biggest problem. And they're already set to reboot their franchises because I think this might be the last Thor movie. And after Avengers Infinity
Infinity
War
War,
Part
they
2, or whatever they're going to call it, because it's not Part 2
call Avengers
anymore.
4.
Uh,
Whatever they're going to call Avengers 4.
yeah, whatever you want to call that. After that, they're pretty much set to reboot their world. And this is coming from Feige's mouth himself. So they
Yeah,
already have
yeah,
a plan, but at the same time, it's like you guys got to change it up. So yeah, I'm with you on that. And Marvel's, well, I still have fun with the movies. It's getting kind of stale, and I kind of want the Avengers things to happen and end. So
yeah. Wrap it up definitively, or at least put a pin on that, because I do still love the DC characters. I think there could be some truly powerful, amazing stories that could come out of it. Like I keep quoting that if you made All Star Superman a movie, people would love Superman a lot more than just be, oh, he's stupid, he's a Boy Scout, he doesn't die, so why should I care? Or there's so many great fantastic stories you can tell with a lot of these characters, and it just bothers me that so many people, when you have an animated show on Cartoon Network that is aimed at kids, that does a better job of portraying so multiple characters that have been around for so many years, as opposed to the more quote unquote adult grown up live action films, something has gone wrong. I really like Justice League Action, by the way. it's it shows that there's just something that maybe they're not getting, but also why people like these characters. Like, it's the reason why we like the Wonder Woman movie so much. Like, the Marvel heroes are human. They're allowed to mess up and be snarky and whatever, and deal with being a superhero. The DC heroes are paragons. They are the archetype of superheroes. Superman is the caped superhuman. Batman is the hyper capable gadgeteer, mortal man. Those are the big major go to you know extreme versions of those characters. The text. And Wonder Woman, being a hero and still fighting for good despite how terrible things have gotten, was a very sincere breath of fresh air that made that movie so palpably amazing. And it's that particular flavor that DC seems to have been adverse to for so long, that they're just now realizing we should have done this the whole time. And I really hope that they reorient themselves soon. And once again, I hope these movies actually turn out to be okay, but I'm hoping they become the much needed proper Pepsi to Marvel's Coca-Cola, because I'm getting kind of sick of drinking Coca-Cola.
yeah, well, I'm sure DC will do this with Flashpoint, because I think that's like
Also sidebar. Sort of talking about Warner Brothers. What the hell were you guys thinking putting Hellboy into Injustice 2 as a downloadable fighter? That
Man,
that's
that made me so
that's
mad.
my those are my thoughts exactly. We're getting off the topic.
Oh yeah, not
So
to mention not only that, but they're rebooting the Hellboy movie. So yay, two.
without Ron Perlman or Guillermo del Toro, what the hell?
Yeah, so I'm like, yay, double news about Hellboy I don't want. That's great.
That is textbook example. Do not want right there. So, what else do we have on the docket? Oh yeah, this is something that's truly terrified me to my utter core. A Sonic game came out, and it's been getting critical praise, legitimate critical praise.
Okay, so I'm thinking we're talking about Sonic Forces. Oh snaps! No, Sonic Mania. Full disclosure here, I haven't played it. I'm not gonna give my opinion on this a whole lot because people are having fun with it. Even people who hated Sonic for so long, they're loving it. Me, I'm not a Sonic fan. I think he's a cool character, and yes, I played Sonic 2's
You 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 you
Chuckles, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic
Sonic
Adventures,
chuckles.
Sonic Chuckles. When I play Sonic Forces, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a character and call him Chuckles. But yeah. So
God.
this is I'm afraid it's gonna be this is all you part because I have no interest in Sonic Mania. Full disclosure. So go ahead with your praise for it because I think you actually had
Well,
fun with it, didn't you?
yeah, I actually do have to preface this as well. Like, I was raised Nintendo. I love Super Mario Brothers. My cousin had the Sega Genesis, had Sonic the Hedgehog, so I got to like see the appeal of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm like, oh, he goes fast, and it's all pretty, and it's fast. But that was when I was like 5 or 6. I was very young at the time. Otherwise, I really didn't think of Sonic as being all that good as a platformer. I remember him being much more profitable, much more memorable as a multimedia icon. Like I remember watching the cartoons that were
Okay,
from
I will
yes,
admit I did love the cartoons, and I even
yeah,
kind of like the Sonic adventure comic books that they had with the Resistance because that's where I learned about the Resistance with the cartoons. So the comics are actually kind of cool too. The Archie comics that they have,
yeah.
but
The Archie
yeah.
comics, which are sadly now canceled. Oh dear, I'm so sad of
Whoa,
that.
really? Are they?
Yeah, it got canceled.
Well,
Archie Comics canceled the Sonic comic, which is one of the most longest running comic books ever, by the way.
yeah, it's really weird. That's why I'm surprised they canceled it because like it's been going on for so long. You'd think that it was popular enough to keep going. Wow. Well, then
But
again,
but
Archie also allow somebody to make that cruddy looking teeny
R-
mystery
Riverdale.
Riverdale crap. So hey, who knows? Maybe they're going a different direction with things.
But but that's what I'm trying to get at. Like I liked, for me, Sonic the Hedgehog was never really good as a platform character, as a platform holder. I mean, he was always billed as the edgy and cool, counterpart to the milk toast and bland Super Mario. I was there during the Sega and Nintendo console wars. I was Team Nintendo, bled Nintendo gray. I didn't care. I was a kid. I was living life. And I remember Sonic the Hedgehog. I remember, oh yeah, he had those cute cartoons and that kind of silly anime with the kids. I'm like, okay, like I was fine with that. And then I tried playing some of the more 3D Sonic platformers. I'm like, oh god, these start okay, and then they just get like terrible, like really awful. And the less said about the more recent sequels, the better. With the human on animal kissing and the werehog stuff and the loading screens and the point being, I understood that once upon a time Sonic the Hedgehog was a contender, and then he just kind of crashed and burned horribly. Which is why every time I think a new Sonic game came out, it's basically Sonic in rehab. I have the joke that he OD'd super hard on 3D and attitude.
And Mario had to save him by letting him get into Brawl and and Super Smash Brothers. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
it's okay. I know you're falling on hard times. I help you.
I help you. It's like Mario kept his nose clean and Sonic was chasing the next high. Oh, I went there, but but that was always the attitude I had towards Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm like, they keep overthinking it. That's what I think the problem has always been. They keep overthinking the concept. They keep overthinking what to do with him. And then I find out that Sonic Mania was announced during a pretty terrible and cringy Sonic anniversary celebration. Which, if you want to look into the face of hell itself, please pull that up. You were warned. But the point is that Sonic Mania was announced, and it was not being developed by Sonic Team. It was a fan creation. apparently they had a team made up of Christian Whitehead, who apparently is very well known in the Sonic fan game community for doing these really great sort of ROMs of Sonic games, where he basically refined the gameplay and basically did stuff that kind of worked things up. And Sega found out he was trying to do basically a sort of homage game, a sort of mashup of old levels from Sonic 1, 2, and 3. And instead of putting a cease and desist on it, and shutting it down like Nintendo keeps doing with a bunch of the Metroid remakes that happened, they said, "Hey, how about we hire you and your team, give you access to all the original assets from the Genesis games, and help you make this game, publish it, because frankly we don't know what the hell we're doing anymore with Sonic." It almost felt like the publisher was like, "Oh, you think you know what you're doing? How about you try making it?" And then the game comes out, and it's effectively the unofficial. It's a proper Sonic the Hedgehog 4. It's 2D, uses the Genesis visual style and graphics, and I've played it, and it is amazing. I was smiling the entire time. Like, I tried going back to play the original Sonic platforms to see if they were any good ever. Thanks to no nostalgia. They're not really all that good. The physics are weird. The platforming is not all that precise, and the platforming gets so ridiculous and hard because of how imprecise and odd it is. And they keep making it so complicated. Because as I said before, Sonic games, they have like 1 or 2 levels that are fun, and then they turn to crap. Like, what does everybody remember about Sonic the Hedgehog? Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant Zone, and then it's a good game. I'm not kidding. That's what it always boils down to whenever I talk to somebody. Like, there could be a level where you have to dress up as a cockatiel and conga line dance, and nobody would have probably seen it. Like, the only time I ever saw any of the other levels was if somebody put it into debug mode and just did a level skip. I'm getting off topic. But Sonic Mania legitimately is fun. Like, everything feels right. The level design is good. Like, I want to explore these levels. These are complex levels. These are interesting levels. They have these little gimmicks and tricks in each world, but they're not overdone. They're simplified and simple to understand. Very good visual design. Like, it blew my mind. I was so used to Sonic just being this game that just kept trying too hard and being a proper platformer. And I actually said, okay, just 1 or 2 levels to get a flavor of it. Next thing you know, I was through 7 levels, and I only stopped because I ran out of lives.
Okay, that's me. A game is actually pretty good when you don't even keep track of your lives. You're like, no, I can beat this, I can do this, until you run out, and you're like, oh, that's right, this game doesn't have unlimited lives. I have to stop at some point.
And then game over, and the entire time I died, I'm like, oh, that was my fault. Yep, missed that point. Yep, missed that jump. Oh, game over. What? Well, I guess it's a good spot to stop. Is that the time? What the hell?
And then we're gonna get Sonic Forces, but
I mean,
we'll make fun of that later. So,
the only real thing that I thought was just kind of bizarre is, like, there's a boss fight that happens out of nowhere in level 2 of the game where you play Puyo Puyo Pop with Dr. Eggman.
You're making that up, right?
I am not kidding. It's probably the most incongruous bit in the entire game. Like, you're going through Chemical Plant Zone, it's like, hey, this is fun. It's a remix of the old song, and you're having fun. And then you get into one of those tubes, and suddenly you get dropped into basically a version of Dr. Eggman's Mean Bean Machine with Dr. Eggman on the other side, and you have to play him in Mean Bean Machine, aka Sonic flavored Puyo Puyo. I am not kidding. You got a match for it, you got to take him out, and then the level ends. I'm like, what? What?
Wow. I'm still not excited for Mania because, again, I'm not really much of a Sonic fan. I never really liked the games because that whole go fast side scrolling, but you don't know where you can't see where you're actually going thing always made me mad because it felt like it wasn't my fault that I died. It's like, oh yeah, off to the screen is a spike. Oh yeah, by the way, if you jump down here, there's a spike or there's an enemy waiting for you. It's like, those are the cheap, bad level designs I've always hated in games, platforms in the past. But I do love platforms.
That's what I was talking about. Like, the gameplay back in the old ones just felt like so at odds. They say gotta go fast, and level design's like think fast. Oh, you missed this. Boom, you're down. I don't think that ever happened to me in Sonic Mania. Every single time I was going fast, there were moments where you could actually redirect where you were going. Like I went through a loop to loop, and went through, and I got hit by one of those like springboards that knock you back, and I just kept running backwards. And I found out there was like a spot that put me to a different level, and because I kept the speed up, I ran up the wall and was running upside down the entire time because I kept up my momentum. I was able to get to a new area. I'm like, holy crap!
I think Funke was actually playing. I think he hit 100% on his. Did you actually get to play as Knuckles? Did you find that one? Did you actually play as Knuckles yet?
I did not play as Knuckles, but I heard his level design is also fantastic, and I did play a bit as Tails, and the Tails stuff is actually not half bad. But yeah, I've just been kind of playing it more as OG Sonic, just getting through the bonus levels and trying to find the Chaos Emeralds, and just actually enjoying the fact that I could casually pick up a Sonic game and then not feel like torture.
That's impossible. All of the games feel like torture. Who are you? What game is this?
Yes, I'm just surprised as you are, but once again, I get a feeling that maybe I'm a bit more fond of mascot or like side-scrolling nostalgia, retro platformers, because I do remember a certain person having trouble with Shovel Knight.
Man, I had such a hard time with Shovel Knight, but it seems like
that's a low blow. But
yeah, it seems like fan-made developments is going to happen more often now. Microsoft is doing it with their Age of Empire anniversary remake that they're doing for Windows 10.
What?
Oh yeah, the original Age of Empires. They're remaking that.
I know they're doing a remaster, but it's a fan development.
Yep, Microsoft caught wind of this community that got together and was updating and patching up and all this other weird stuff. It wasn't just modding; it was like legitimate, like
quality of life updates.
Yeah, they're really doing it to ensure that people who still played Age of Empires
can still play it.
Yeah. Microsoft caught wind of it, talked to the team, brought them on as developers, and now they just announced it at Gamescom that the remaster is going to be 4K, high definition, updated visuals. Stuff. Yep, built from the ground up, by the way. Not just some patch. It's built from the ground up.
And it says a whole lot about Microsoft's position right now. That's the one major announcement of note that you wanted to comment on when it comes to their Gamescom presentation.
It was relevant to what it's relevant to what we were talking about fan developments.
I think the last bit of development, though, I do want to talk about. This is a bit of a personal thing, but apparently EA has effectively closed the door definitively now on the Mass Effect series.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that, because I was whining to you earlier today. Anyway, I was whining to you earlier. You're like, yeah, whatever, man. But I had to get it off my chest, so I was crying. I was crying foul to Darth Rahu like a day or so after learning about this. So, yep, let's get on this topic.
But yeah, that's what happened. EA basically came out and said, due to development strain or budgetary reasons, they actually didn't really give a concrete reason. Although I'm going to chalk it to one of those two. They have effectively said that Mass Effect Andromeda will not be getting any single-player story-focused content updates. Like, they're still going to do patches to improve the visual quality of the game, the motion capture stuff, the
Oh no, they're not doing that anymore either. Whatever small team they have, their whole focus is on updating
the multiplayer updates,
patching, and adding content to multiplayer.
That's what I was talking about when it came to patches.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about the single player.
Basic quality of life stuff is going to be maintained, but the entire future for the content of Mass Effect Andromeda is going to be its multiplayer. How freaking dismal can that be? And they also basically said that we'll come back to Mass Effect once it's refreshing again. And oh boy, that's a pain in the ass. Like, I brought this up multiple times. Mass Effect is a BioWare game, and for me, BioWare games are always have a major focus on characters and story development. Their gameplay is just there in service of that. So when it comes to it being multiplayer online, it's like, why do this? Because Call of Duty is popular. Like, it's not probably the resources, but it also shows that because Andromeda was so poorly received and so I don't want to say hated, but I would say maligned by fans. It's like, okay, yeah, we killed the cash cow here. Let's put it in storage for a while, and maybe I don't know, do a really cynical rehash in 2023 or something. I know that sounds terrible, but it's a story of a series going out with a whimper rather than a bang, and that bums me out.
I think what EA's plan is that they're saying that they put it to rest, but I think what they're doing is, all right, where's our A team? Oh, they're working on Anthem? All right, we'll take the support team, put them back to what they were good at doing, supporting, put majority of their team on Anthem, and put the other half of their team.
And see how Anthem goes, and then maybe bring back interest by teasing the future for Mass Effect or something.
Yeah, but now they're probably going to like bring back their major team to do the new Mass Effect rather than let somebody else do it.
Which makes sense because Casey Hudson returned to BioWare, so that may help.
Maybe, but yeah, apparently there's I haven't finished Andromeda, even though I had it since day one. Because it was that bad to me. And I was kind of hoping like updates and stuff would fix that. But now that I know this has happened,
no.
Apparently there's a storyline that's unfinished in the main campaign that they were going to do single player DLC for.
Yep.
And that's been canceled now. And in their response to fans who asked about that storyline, we're going to finish it in comic books and novel form.
Oh.
yeah, so you're gonna be wondering about that thread for a long time. Man, they really, yeah, so bad. I like how Tony Stark put it. You screwed the pooch hard on this one. You took the hybrid puppies to the clinic, and you put them to sleep. EA, good job. You didn't want those puppies, so you put them to sleep.
And with that, admittedly pretty dour and darkly comedic note, I think that'll wrap us up for the return of That Random Podcast Show. Thank you very much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, and others, and thank you very much for supporting us after all this time. All three of you that are returning listeners. Once again, if you do want to follow me and pick my brain on other things, you can follow my pros in a more professional capacity in my reviews and my features at thegamefanatics.com. You may also follow me on Twitter at Darth Rahu, capital D, capital R, all one word. And every Friday night, I do stream on Twitch at DigiDesperado26. Also, I do some writing things in a much more loosey-goosey, informal fashion on my blog at cybertavern.blogspot.com. Michael, where can we follow you?
You can, of course, find me on Twitter at Zafmod. But if for some reason you can't find me there, you can find me with my Twitter handle at M_MOSLEY_JR. And I also stream on both Mixer and Twitch, usually over the weekends. And sometimes Wednesday. I still have to try and get my schedule set straight so that way I can have it more constant streams and a constant schedule. Consistency is key, people, and that's why I fell.
And that'll do it for now. Take care, everybody. Stay awesome.
Wibbity bobbity woo.